But that isn't true. I was not tired physically, no more tired than I usually was at the end of a working day. I was not old. Although some people have this image of me being old then, I was only 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in. That woman was willing to look power in the eye and say no. And when they threatened her, she basically calmly said, do what you got to do. And they did, and she did suffer from that action. But think about the flame that she lit that day on that bus. That sparked the Montgomery bus boycott. That began the civil rights movement. That is something that sparked people to stand up all over for their rights. Because one woman was willing to say no. We need some Americans that are willing to look at the federal government and not shudder and cry because they might lose federal funding or this or that might happen, and just say, you know what, I'm tired of giving in. No. I'm going to close with one of my favorite quotes of all time. First, I have to do my obligatory sales pitch. I do have some items that I brought with me. If you're interested in learning more about nullification and actually digging into all of the constitutional documentation and the founding fathers and all the quotes and the philosophy behind it, I've written a book called Our Last Hope, Rediscovering the Lost Path to Liberty. It's basically the philosophical, historical, and moral case for nullification. I've got those in the back. I've also got some little booklets. This is $20. I've got nullification objections, which simply goes through some of the objections that you will hear and quick answers to them. $5. And then smashing the myths. A lot of times you'll hear people say, and this was a favorite of Mark Levin, that nullification is illegitimate because James Madison opposed it. This actually digs deeply into what James Madison wrote in the 1830s during the tariff crisis. And it explains exactly what Madison says. And when you read this little book, you will learn that Madison was not opposing nullification in general, but a specific doctrine that South Carolina concocted out of thin air. So I've got all these items. We've got a table back in the back over to that way. So with the sales pitch, I just want to hand out this quote by Frederick Douglass, another man who knew a little bit about tyranny, and about slavery, and about being oppressed. He said this: find out just what people will submit to, and you have found out the exact amount of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And these will continue until they are resisted with either words, blows, or both. The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. I'm willing to stand up here and say, you know what, NSA, we're going to do everything we can to turn your water off. And I'm probably on a list. And now that I'm here with you guys are on a list too. We've got to stand up, ladies and gentlemen, and this is one of the avenues we have. Thank you guys so much. If you have questions, I'll be over at our table. I'll be glad to talk.